The next person who I will be presenting to you is Pepe Villatoro. He's the founder and CEO of Fuck Up Nights, and we'll be talking about startups, how so many startups started so large and failed later terribly. So what's the reason behind it? I invite you on the stage.
Thank you very much. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's put the slides on so I can share this. I'm here to talk to you about how to scale stuff fast. I'm going to share 10 learnings in 15 minutes. So are you ready? Nice. I like the energy. Here is where the learnings came from. My three more important experiences were, first, launching WeWork in Latin America. You know, the infamous WeWork, the co-working company. So WeWork at one point in time was the biggest and fastest growing real estate company in the world. And in Mexico, I led and created the fastest growing market with the highest EBITDA margins. Then I also had the opportunity to launch Deel in Latin America and the Southern Europe. Deel became the fastest growing software as a service company in the world. From 0 to $17 billion in valuation in 6 years, more than $1 billion in revenue, et cetera, et cetera. And I personally have the highest conversion rate as a salesperson in that company. And then I'm a co-founder of Fuck Up Nights, which is, think of this as a TEDx of failure where people share stories of business and professional failure. And we created it back in Mexico City 13 years ago, and we have scaled it to more than 70 countries. So based on these three experiences, I want to share with you three learnings. First of all, I want to start sharing a little bit of myself. So 13 years ago, I was back in Mexico City drinking many tequilas with friends. So we like to say that Fuck Up Nights got started as most good things in life with friends and tequilas, right? So lesson number one, drink tequila. No, I'm kidding. But we were complaining about the simplistic success stories that you hear out there. So instead of complaining, we started by starting. We decided to share our most important failures, the one that changed our lives. And that became such an impactful conversation that we decided to turn it into a very kitsch, small event with friends in Mexico City. Turned out people loved it. So we started doing it monthly, and then it started growing virally. People liked it so much that it started growing by word of mouth. And at one point, it looked like this. Like, we do massive events all over the world. And people started asking us to replicate it in other cities and places over the world. So we started doing it. And currently we are present in more than 270 cities of more than 70 countries. And with all of this noise, we get approached by fun people, by some of the change makers in the most influential organizations in the world. So we have as clients the World Bank, the Red Cross, Facebook, Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. And we help them change mindsets that change behaviors towards innovation. So how did that happen? First of all, who here wants to listen to the learnings? You do? Do you want to live like me with my dog? This is us. Yes, yes. Do you wanna know how to get a car like this? Yes? No? Yes? Okay. Here's how to get a car like this. You get a Honda, and then you put it on ChatGPT and ask it to turn it into a Ferrari. So, this is the lesson number one. If you do it for the money, you will fuck up, or you will very likely fuck up. Thank you very much. We were talking about this with my friend Benjamin. If you do something just for the imaginary end state, oh, I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna be recognized by others, you won't stand a chance because it's really hard. It's really hard to create something. It's way harder to scale it. So lesson number one, have a purpose, make the hard questions to yourself, find what you really value. Okay, here are more learnings for scaling fast. This guy is Émile Durkheim. He's a French philosopher who 130 years ago said that the biggest burden of life in capitalism is the fear of failure. Our biggest problem, our biggest issue, our biggest fear is to fail. That's our cross. And he said that 130 years ago. Imagine what he would say today with geopolitics and climate change and AI and accelerated change, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to give you this. Lesson number 2. Failure, pain, and fear are information waiting to be acted upon. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Failure, pain, and fear are information waiting to be acted upon. Why is this so important? Because when we fear something, we tend to run away from things. Like, oh, it gives me pain, it makes me fearful, so this is bad. But if we reframe that, we actually can see failure and fear as coaches, as the areas of opportunity in our lives. And that's a very important reframe if you want to create something that matters. The important things in the world, in life, weren't created just with an idea. They weren't created in one day. They were created through decades of effort with a lot of challenges, difficulties, and pain. Number 3, failure is universal. So I once was invited to Harvard Business School to give a masterclass, which is funny because this all started with friends drinking tequila, and now I get invited to Harvard to give masterclasses. And at the end of the class, 3 students approached me and said, Pepe, I'm not going to fail. Like, I come from a rich family. I'm studying at Harvard. I have a contract waiting for me at Google, McKinsey, etc. I'm not going to fail. And I told them, remember that you don't only fail because of your bad decisions and actions, you also fail because of the things that you cannot control. A pandemic, an earthquake in Mexico City, crazy politician, crazy president in some country, an economical crisis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to change our perspectives from this old school type of mindset. I call it like the madman mindset, the white, heterosexual, tall dude with a cognac in his hand, the know-it-all, of failure is not an option, we don't fail here, to a safe-to-fail mindset. To know that when we try new things, better things, it won't be perfect. Things won't go according to plan on day one. And it's okay. That's the way to learn and grow. Number 4, failure is uncomfortable. So we don't go out there sharing our failures and hee ha ha ha, right? Like, listen how such a loser I am, because it's uncomfortable. Let me tell you about one guy who actually shares the failure. A guy named Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. One day he woke up and he said, we need to enter the smartphone market. It's super strategic for Amazon Prime, for all of our strategy. So he invested $700 million and a bunch of his time to create the Fire Phone. Raise your hand if you have a Fire Phone. Exactly. They failed miserably. They failed so bad that they had an inventory problem. They couldn't sell the phones, so they had warehouses full of Fire Phones, which is also, you know, a great way to lose a lot of money rapidly. So they said, what do we do with this shit? Let's give it away. They created a plan, a cellular cell plan with AT&T in the US to give them away. People would pay $1 and they would get the Fire Phone for free. And they sold like 3,000 of them in the entire US. So massive failure again. So big that media outlets, people on social media, they were all mocking Jeff Bezos. Oh, you wanted to be like the next Steve Jobs, you wanted to be like Google, but you're an idiot, pretty much, right? In other words. What would you do if you do something so important for you, something that is pretty much like your last name? You're not Pepe Villatoro, you're Pepe Firephone, you're Pepe Amazon, and it fails miserably. And you're the joke of the town. most people would hide the failure and say, oh, look, there's a pink elephant over there, let's change the topic, right? He shared the failure. He shared it with his employees, with his shareholders, stakeholders, with everyone. And it's because of that sharing that the software that they create, the voice recognition software that they created for the Fire Phone ended up creating Alexa and all the Echo devices. And it created an entire home device industry and positioned Amazon as a leader in AI. Number 5, success is not final. I like this phrase by Sir Winston Churchill that says, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it's the courage to continue that counts. And when I analyze it, I see, okay, failure is not fatal, except when it is, but okay. But success is not final is the part that I find really, really powerful because it's not so common. And we tend to mortgage our lives saying, in the future, I will live the life that I want to live. When I retire, when I buy my house, when I marry, when I get that promotion, that new salary, that job, then I'll be happy. Then I will live the life that I want to live. But then you don't get there and you feel like a failure, or you actually get there and you realize that you now want more because we train ourselves every day for our entire lives to not feel enough, to feel like we are not successful. And then also in terms of scaling, remember that what takes you from 0 to 1 won't take you to 10, 100, or 1,000, especially with startups. You need to keep iterating. Success is not final. It's not like, oh, I found this growth channel via Facebook ads and now I'm successful. No, it won't scale forever. So you need to keep iterating. Number 6, high-performance teams make more mistakes. There's a researcher that was studying a group of hospitals to find what makes a team a high-performing team. And she only found that it was the ones that make more mistakes that are high-performing. Why is that? If we're talking about hospitals, like you don't want people to die, right? It's because they try more. They iterate faster. So they make more mistakes. So keep that mindset. If you are not failing enough, if you're not making mistakes often, maybe you're not trying enough. Number 7, market is more important than culture, and culture is more important than a strategy. We have all heard culture eats strategy for breakfast. But then when you talk to investors and to people that have scaled things, you realize that market is even more important than the team and than the culture. Let me give you one example. Who here sells something that every time you sell one, you make $100,000 or more? Nice, we have a few. Excellent. Those are, I guess, good markets and good business models. So that's what happened with Deel and with WeWork. If you sell one office to a team of 25, $300, $350 per person per month, you have $100K per year. Same with Deel, $500 per person per payroll per month. 25 employees or growing, and you make a ton of money. And then you get a pandemic on top of that, and remote work explodes, and your whole company explodes. So market is very, very important. I would say run away from models that give you like 2% of the revenue and these like very, very difficult models to scale where you need a ton of money of VC to be successful. And then in terms of culture, we could talk about culture for hours, right? For days. I'm going to give you one idea. Mentor your ideal mentor. The most powerful thing that I did in my life was sitting next to people that are way better than me, and I copy everything from them. How to pitch, how to negotiate, how to communicate, how to write an email, everything. Right now, you might be asking yourselves, Pepe, are you saying we should celebrate failure? The short answer is no. We should celebrate trying instead of stigmatizing failure. So let me tell you real quick how to try. Richard Branson said, I created several billion-dollar companies by watching the downside. So if I lose, when I lose, I know that I'm going to lose 1x. But when I win 100 or 1,000x or more. So I have many more failures than successes, but the successes outweigh the failures by far. Look for the asymmetric benefits. And then Jeff Bezos also said, reversible versus irreversible decisions. If you can try something, fuck it up, and come back to the previous state, it's a reversible decision. Go for it, try it, and learn. But if it's something that will risk your company, then you need to stop and to strategize better. And that's a great framework to iterate faster, to innovate faster. A very good one for startups are pre-mortems. Imagine that your company failed and ask yourself, what can kill my company in the next few years, in the next year? And when I ask this myself, what could kill Fuck Up Nights in the next year? I answer a global pandemic. And then I start doing my whole strategy in a different way and creating digital structures, digital revenue streams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can benefit from failure without actually living the failure. Number 9, to wrap up, failure and growth are a state of mind. There's another famous author from the US who introduced the growth and the fixed mindsets. The fixed mindset is when you say failure is the limit of my abilities, and a growth mindset is when you say failure is an opportunity to grow. So I'm sure that all of you at some point in your life say, I'm not good at something. I'm not good at sales. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm not good at sports, etc., etc. When you find yourself saying that, stop right there and realize that you have a great opportunity to start learning something with a growth mindset. And once you start doing these experiments, you might find something that can change your life. So for example, I had a fixed mindset with speaking in public, and then I questioned that, and I started trying it, and guess what? I was terrible. But then I was less terrible, and then less and less, and now I love it, and I get invited to speak in front of super smart, amazing people like you. Thank you. Last, to wrap, so now we're going to number 10, be like a cockroach.
So I'm just saying a couple of minutes to...
Okay, I'm wrapping up.
Introduce yourself.
Be like a cockroach. Success in business, in startups, is just perseverance. You won't win the first time. But if you are unbeatable, unkillable, like a cockroach, at some point you will find the way to do things. So thank you very much.